Thanks for staying with us, everyone. World leaders are gathered in New York for the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly as a high-level general debate opened today. Running through September the 29th, this year's theme is Better Together, 80 Years and More for Peace, Development and Human Rights. Heads of states, government and ministers will be meeting minds on effective ways of addressing urgent global challenges, ranging from conflict and climate change to economic inequality for collective solutions. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, opened the debate by presenting his annual report on the organization's work. The general debate remains a key moment for global diplomacy and international cooperation. Now, war and statehood are dominating the 80th session of the UN General Assembly, with the war in Gaza casting a long shadow over this year's debate. The issue of Palestinian statehood is back in focus, but the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and over 80 officials were blocked from attending the session after the U.S. denied them visas, a move the State Department says is due to their push for unilateral recognition of Palestinian statehood. Israel welcomed the ban. The UN responded by allowing the Palestinian President Abbas to address the assembly virtually as the war in Gaza rages on and the humanitarian crisis deepens. Palestine is recognized by many countries but lacks defined borders and army or full control of its territory. Calls for a two-state solution echo through the chamber, but peace feels more distant than ever, with Gaza under siege and Israeli settlements expanding in the West Bank. TVC News assignment editor Asukwa James is in New York to monitor the debates. He joins us live to discuss the major issues at the forefront of the UN General Assembly. Asukwa, thanks for joining us. We know that President Trump is speaking today. Just give us an idea of what it looks like now in New York.
No, please.
What we have pressure everywhere is watertight at the moment. I just have to quickly, get to, so we're very close to the UN building. All the roads are absolutely blocked. While we are coming, the president of the Brazilian president was actually speaking. And the Brazilian president was actually speaking. And from what he was saying, he was also advocating for a two-state solution. And if you know, yesterday, about 150 countries out of the 188 countries, member states, actually approved for, a quick solution to the problem that is happening in Gaza. Later today, also President Trump is expected to speak. Don't forget, yesterday also the French president, one of the headlines also approved that France is, advocating for a two-state solution. And everybody is actually talking about how, there can be peace in the world. Even the UN Secretary General also advocated that unity and peace is what, the world, really, really wants.
Do we have any indication how that might go in terms of whether Palestine is going to become a state of its own? Because we know that President Trump's administration is really against it, banned the President Abbas from even attending the UNGA. So just give us an idea if there is an indication that will pass through in terms of the body language you're getting.
Oh, so what is actually saying is that Trump has the ace, particularly in this 80th section of the General Assembly. So many people are already waiting for what Donald Trump will say. Will he also veto? Once he vetoes that, it will be a very difficult situation, because for now, the US has actually stopped funding for the UN, and UN, the body, is going through financial dire straits at the moment. And for there to be a quick solution, we won't see I'm not sure that the US is going to back other countries who are actually advocating for a two-state solution. Already, the Israeli Prime Minister is saying no to that. And if at all there's going to be anything, it has to be on the terms of the Israelis and the Israeli nation, as well as the US, as well as the United States. So for now, everybody is looking up for words and what Trump is going to come up with. If he agrees to it, fine. But I doubt it if he's going to agree to a Palestinian state.
And you mentioned that the president of Brazil was speaking just before you stepped out to speak with us. Just give us an idea of some of the things he said, if we were able to catch any.
Also, for what he was actually saying, just like every other person, was about peace, and that there shouldn't be one country bullying the rest of the country. He was very, very emphatic about that. He also talked about the history of how Brazil came about and how they were able to fight themselves and find their way to becoming a state. So he was actually saying that the countries around the world, that there's nothing as good as peace. So he was actually advocating that there have to be a way to bring back everybody on the table to see how countries around the world. He mentioned Gaza. He also mentioned Gaza. People have been dying, children and the women have been dying. About 6,000 people have lost their life so far, including Israelis. So he was advocating whereby everybody will come to the round table to see how they can be, unity and peace talks, so that the world can live peaceably with, again. For now, that is what he said. And but just like I said earlier, what we need now is for Donald Trump. But once Donald Trump speaks, perhaps we'll now have a direction on how everybody will be able to.
Because just a minute, Asukwa, because you're speaking to us outside, just to let you know, because we'll let you go so you can be part of that speech. President Trump is already speaking, and then he's using his speech to talk about the achievements he sees his administration making. He's touching on the U.S. stock markets, recent highs, investments in the U.S. tax and regulation courts, as well as border security.
He's also going to say something about the immigration.
Absolutely, and he's talked about that border security.
Don't forget, Oh yeah, so he's also going to say something about the American force. From what I heard yesterday from the spokesperson, and he's going to be very, very emphatic about putting America first and any other country. So whatever Donald Trump is going to put out there, that is going to say today, the world is going to shake. I can assure you.
Absolutely. His tariff has also created some sort of tension around the world. We'll see how all the world leaders, handle all of this and speak to this. Thank you so much for the update. Assignment editor Asukwa James.